Welcome to Silent Psychology. Some stories aren't loud. They don't come crashing through the door with gunshots or screaming matches. Some stories knock quietly, late at night, when everything else is still, except your thoughts. This is one of those stories. A quiet collapse. A choice that doesn't feel like a choice. And the part of you that never fully recovers. Today's story is about survival, the cost of desperation, and the haunting grey zones of human behavior that society rarely admits exist. It's not about villains or heroes, just people. And what happens when life pushes you into a corner you didn't even realize you were backed into. This is I Was Desperate and Broke. My landlord made an offer I never saw coming. Scene 1. The fall I never imagined life would unravel so quietly. Not with a scream, not with a crash, just a single piece of paper on the nightstand. White, thin, innocent looking. And yet it held the weight of everything I feared. Final notice, eviction, the third one, the last one. I didn't show Kevin the first two, and I sure as hell couldn't show him this one. He was still asleep beside me. Eyes shut, breathing shallow, clinging to the last few pieces of pride that used to hold him up. 6 years of marriage had weathered storms, but this wasn't a storm. It was drowning. A slow, cold kind of suffocation where you're still technically alive, but nothing inside you feels that way. We were 3 months behind on rent. The account had $42.17 left. That's it. That was our lifeboat. A number so small it felt like an insult. Scene 2. The slow collapse. Kevin had been laid off 4 months ago. Corporate restructuring. It's nothing personal, they said, as if that somehow softened the blow. But it crushed him. He wasn't just unemployed. He was unraveling. The man who used to kiss my forehead and talk about futures now sat silently at the kitchen table, scrolling job boards like it was a punishment. Cold coffee, dark circles, broken spirit. And me? I tried to carry us. I sold my clothes, babysat for strangers who looked at me like I was a thief. Took surveys that paid pennies. I even sold my engagement ring. I told myself love wasn't a diamond, but the groceries it bought, gone in a week. Our apartment, small, crammed, barely a step up from a box, had once felt like a home. Now, it felt like a tomb, a quiet, claustrophobic waiting room for failure. Scene 3, the man downstairs, and then there was Marcus, our landlord, mid-30s, tall, carved like a statue from the neck down, dark skin, darker stare. He wasn't cruel exactly, but you didn't talk to him unless you had to. He had the energy of a man who could carry the entire building on his back and wouldn't break a sweat. I never saw him smile. I never saw him frown. Just still, unreadable. People said he had no heart. I thought maybe he just had no time. All I knew for sure, he didn't offer extensions, no payment plans, no excuses. Either you had it or you didn't, and we didn't. Scene 4, the knock. It was a little after midnight when I stepped out, barefoot, hoodie wrapped tight around me like armor. The air was sharp, the ground freezing, but I couldn't lie in bed anymore, counting down the hours until we were thrown out. I needed to try something, anything. I knocked on Marcus's door. 2 short taps. It opened immediately. He stood shirtless in the doorway, stoic as ever, eyes heavy like he hadn't slept in years. "Jessica," he said. I hesitated. "Can we talk?" He stepped aside. His apartment was the opposite of ours, immaculate, minimal, lifeless. No pictures, no mess, just walls, air, and silence. "I know we're behind," I began. "I'm not asking for a pass, just more time." He didn't respond right away, just looked at me, not cruel, not kind, just calculating. "Time doesn't pay bills," he finally said. "I know," I whispered, "but we're trying. Kevin's still looking. I'm doing everything I can." "I could evict you tomorrow," he said flatly. I flinched. Then, "There's another way." Those 3 words froze the air. My stomach sank. Another way? I repeated. One night with me. That's it. Rent cleared. My mind blanked. The heat that rushed to my face wasn't shame. It was fury. You're joking. I don't joke, he said calmly. You're a grown woman. Make your decision. I wanted to slap him, scream, run, but I didn't, because for one horrible, honest second, my body didn't move. It didn't say no. It didn't say yes. It just froze. Fight, flight, freeze. I walked out, said nothing, back into the cold, back into the night, back into the silence. Scene 5. The wait. The next morning, Kevin stirred beside me, still dreaming, still hopeful. I watched him breathe like it hurt to look. 11 days until eviction. Maybe less. I didn't tell him, not because he wouldn't understand, but because he would. He would know exactly how dark the tunnel was that I was staring down. Around noon, I called my best friend, Sandra. You sound like hell, she said. I haven't slept. You always hold everything together. Don't break now. I wanted to laugh, but my laugh would have come out hollow. That night, Kevin came home with more bad news. Another rejection. Warehouse work this time. Too qualified, they said. He slammed his fist against the table. A plate cracked, not shattering, but it echoed. Maybe we should just leave, he said. Sleep in the car. Start over. Start over with what? He didn't answer. Scene 6. The decision. After he fell asleep, I stared at my phone. Still $42.17. I typed, "Can we talk?" 10 minutes later, I was back at Marcus's door. This time he wore a black t-shirt, expression unreadable as always. "You sure?" he asked. I nodded. No smile, no cruelty, just motion. He stepped aside. The bedroom looked like a hotel, tidy, precise, soulless. "You can still back out," he said. I met his eyes. "Let's just get it over with." Scene 7. The transaction. What happened next wasn't passion. It wasn't betrayal. It was arithmetic. A cold exchange dressed in warm skin. He was gentle, detached, like this wasn't his first time offering desperation a lifeline. When it was over, we both dressed in silence. Back home, Kevin was asleep on the couch. I stood over him, whispered to no one. "It's done." But it wasn't. Not really. Scene 8. The mirror days passed. I moved through them like fog. Food tasted like ash. Air felt heavy. Kevin asked, "You okay?" "Just tired." He smiled. I smiled back. Later that evening, a new rent slip slid under the door. Balance, $0. No message, no note, just silence. Kevin didn't ask. I didn't tell. Sandra called again. "You sound weird," she said. "I did something." Pause. "Did you get the money?" "Sort of." Another pause. "That doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who survived." I wanted to believe her, but I didn't feel like I survived. I felt like I cracked, like a mirror that's still whole, but never reflects the same again. Scene 9. The aftermath. A week later, Kevin found work. Logistics, long hours, decent pay. He smiled for the first time in months. He kissed me on the forehead and said, "We made it." But I didn't feel made. I felt erased. Marcus never brought it up, never acknowledged it again. We passed each other once by the mailbox. He didn't even nod. To him, it was nothing. To me, it was a fracture I couldn't patch. That night I stood in front of the mirror, traced the lines under my eyes, not ruined, but not whole, and I whispered to my reflection, "When did surviving start to feel like shame?" Outro. This wasn't a fairy tale. There was no grand resolution, no victory lap, just a woman who made a decision she never thought she'd face, and lived with it. That's life sometimes. Not clean, not noble, just necessary. Not every act of survival earns applause. Some just earn silence. Thank you for watching Silent Psychology. If this story resonated with you, leave a comment below. And remember, sometimes The strongest people are the ones who carry their stories quietly.